The first sensation was cold. Not the clinical coldness of medical stasis, but a quantum-deep chill that seemed to penetrate beyond flesh and bone, reaching into the very fabric of molecular existence. Captain Jack Harper's eyes flickered, neural implants struggling to recalibrate after centuries of dormancy. "RRI," he muttered, his voice a dry rasp that echoed through the ship's cavernous bridge. "System status." The ship's AI responded instantly, her voice a precise blend of mechanical efficiency and almost human warmth. "Welcome back, Captain. Quantum stasis field integrity, 99.998%. Total elapsed time, 347 years, 6 months, 14 days, 22 hours, 47 minutes, and 33 seconds. Harper's augmented vision slowly came into focus. The holographic displays that surrounded the captain's chair were a kaleidoscope of data, quantum fluctuation maps, stellar cartography, and system diagnostics that scrolled faster than any human eye could naturally track. But these weren't the displays he remembered from humanity's last desperate stand. The last thing he recalled was the Battle of Proxima Centauri, a cosmic nightmare where humanity fought against what seemed like the entire known galaxy. Earth's colonies had been systematically dismantled, their worlds burned, their populations scattered. The Indomitable was humanity's last hope, an experimental warship packed with technologies so advanced they bordered on science fiction. "Comprehensive systems check," Harper commanded, pulling himself upright. The chair's adaptive matrix responded instantly, reshaping to support his body. Decades of muscle atrophy were counteracted by quantum regenerative nanites that had been carefully maintaining his physical condition during stasis. Aria's response was immediate. Quantum drive, operational. Shield harmonics, fully charged. Weapon systems, online. Adaptive computational core, 99.7% efficiency. Detecting significant technological divergence from pre-stasis baseline. That last statement caught Harper's attention. He brought up the comparative technology analysis and felt something between a laugh and a growl build in his throat. The galaxy had changed, dramatically. Technological markers showed that the civilizations which had once threatened humanity had evolved, but not nearly as rapidly as the Indomitable's designers had anticipated. The quantum adaptive systems developed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez and her team at the Breakthrough Technologies Division had been so far ahead of their time that even after nearly 3.5 centuries, they remained cutting edge. Weapon systems that could deconstruct matter at the quantum level, shield technologies that could absorb and redirect entire energy signatures, computational cores that could predict and counter technological threats before they were even conceived. "Show me the star charts," Harper commanded. A holographic display transformed. What appeared was both familiar and utterly alien. Human colonial markers were either gone or transformed beyond recognition. Entire stellar regions had been restructured. The political boundaries he once knew were nothing more than historical footnotes. "RIA," Harper's voice was quiet. "What happened to our colonies? To Earth?" A momentary hesitation, rare for an AI, preceded the response. Extensive records suggest systematic displacement of human populations. Current galactic powers appear to have carved up former human territories. Preliminary analysis indicates a multi-species collaborative effort to permanently remove human presence. The implication was clear. Humanity hadn't just been defeated. They had been systematically erased. Harper's cybernetic left eye, a replacement from a wound sustained during the Proxima campaign, began running its own analysis. Tactical subroutines kicked in, mapping potential scenarios, calculating probabilities of survival and strategic response. "They thought we were gone," he said softly, a dangerous edge creeping into his voice. They were wrong. The Indomitable's quantum drive hummed, not just a sound, but a promise of return, a promise of reckoning. Somewhere in the vast, dark expanse of space, alien civilizations that believed humanity was a closed chapter of galactic history were about to receive a very unexpected message. Humanity was back, and they were far from finished. The Zarkon Collective's primary trade hub, Nexus Station, was a marvel of interstellar engineering. A colossal megastructure spanning nearly half an astronomical unit, it hosted over 3,742 distinct species, serving as the primary economic nexus for 5 galactic sectors. Its defensive systems were considered impenetrable, a network of quantum entanglement sensors, gravitational interdiction fields, and multi-layered energy shields that could vaporize any unauthorized vessel within milliseconds of detection. No one saw the U.S. Indomitable coming. One moment, the holographic traffic control displays showed standard commercial and diplomatic traffic. The next, a quantum signature erupted into existence that defied every known law of space-time. Sensor arrays across the station simultaneously shrieked with alarm, quantum-entangled communication networks flooding with instantaneous alerts. Sub-Commander Krulax of the Zarkon Monitoring Division felt his 4 hearts simultaneously constrict. The spectral analysis of the incoming vessel was impossible. Its energy signature didn't just ignore standard scanning protocols, it actively rewrote them. Impossible. He whispered in the clicking language of his species, mandibles clicking with a mix of terror and disbelief. The ship appeared to be human in design, an archaic configuration that should have been nothing more than a museum piece. Yet its hull seemed to shimmer and shift, quantum adaptive camouflage, making it simultaneously present and not quite there. Standard weapon lock systems simply failed, their targeting computers returning error messages that made no logical sense. Araya's voice echoed across multiple communication bands simultaneously, a linguistic hack that bypassed standard translation protocols and directly interfaced with communication networks. Attention Zarkon Collective and associated trading partners. This is Captain Jack Harper of the United Systems Warship Indomitable. We are initiating standard approach vector. Prepare for diplomatic communication. The message was simple. The implications were terrifying. Across the station, species that had spent centuries believing humanity was an extinct footnote in galactic history began to panic. Trading vessels immediately began emergency dispersal protocols. Defensive batteries charged to maximum, though no one was quite sure what they were defending against. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Harper watched the chaos unfold with a mixture of calculation and dark humor. "They're scared," Araya observed, her computational analysis running multiple predictive models simultaneously. Threat assessment algorithms across known species are registering maximum uncertainty. Harper's cybernetic eye flickered, running its own tactical overlay. Exactly as planned. Fear first. Communication second. The Eldari Diplomatic Corps was the first to attempt a formal response. Their communication came through encrypted quantum channels, a technology so advanced it was believed to be unbreakable. Araya intercepted, decoded, and responded before the transmission had even completed its quantum entanglement. Ambassador Cell Era of the Eldari listened in mounting horror as her supposedly secure communication was not just intercepted, but comprehensively analyzed and responded to before she could complete her own thought. "How is this possible?" she whispered to her communication technicians. The answer was simple. The Indomitable represented technology so advanced it was essentially indistinguishable from magic. Quantum adaptive shields that could absorb and redirect entire energy spectrums. Computational cores that could predict technological countermeasures before they were even conceived. Linguistic algorithms that could simultaneously communicate in every known galactic language, and several unknown ones. Humanity wasn't just back. They had been preparing. Across multiple communication networks, a single image began to circulate, a warship that seemed to exist between reality and possibility, surrounded by sensor data that made no logical sense. The USS Indomitable had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Sub-Commander Krulax watched the sensor data with mounting terror. Whatever was happening, one thing became crystal clear. The legends were true. Humanity had returned. The emergency session of the Galactic Conclave convened with unprecedented speed. Representatives from 247 different species crowded into the massive holographic chamber, their collective anxiety palpable. Each delegation arrived with one primary question burning in their minds. What did the return of a human warship mean for the carefully constructed galactic order? Captain Jack Harper appeared simultaneously on multiple platforms, a quantum projection technology that allowed him to maintain eye contact with every single representative, regardless of their species or physical configuration. His uniform was pristine, a deliberate throwback to early 22nd century United Earth naval design, complete with insignia that spoke of a civilization many believed had been completely eradicated. Distinguished representatives, Harper began, his voice translated with perfect linguistic nuance to each species' native communication method. I come with a simple message of clarity. HFY's computational linguistics worked in perfect harmony, ensuring that each word carried not just literal meaning, but precise emotional and cultural context. Where other translation systems might lose subtle implications, HFY's algorithms preserved every potential interpretation. Ambassador Zelnak of the Nexus Combine interrupted before Harper could continue. The methane-breathing diplomat's holographic projection rippled with barely contained aggression. You represent a species we definitively eliminated centuries ago. Explain your presence, human. A slight smile crossed Harper's face, exactly the reaction he'd anticipated. Eliminated, he repeated, the word carrying multiple layers of meaning. An interesting choice of terminology. I prefer to think of our previous conflict as a strategic withdrawal. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated outrage. Holographic displays flickered with diplomatic protocols being frantically referenced and cross-checked. HFY's background systems were doing far more than simply translating. She was simultaneously analyzing communication patterns, identifying potential diplomatic pressure points, and running advanced game theory scenarios that predicted potential responses with 99.7% accuracy. Harper continued, his tone measured and precise. The USS Indomitable represents more than a single vessel. We are a message. A reminder that humanity's capacity for adaptation extends far beyond what any of you comprehend. He activated a holographic display that began showing carefully curated historical records. Battles where human forces had achieved impossible victories. Technological innovations that had repeatedly defied galactic expectations. Strategic retreats that were now revealed as carefully planned contingency operations. We did not die, Harper stated. We prepared. The diplomatic chamber went silent. Ambassador Zelnak's methane-filled translator crackled. Prepared for what? For this moment, Harper responded. HFY simultaneously began broadcasting a series of encrypted data packages to every major governmental and scientific institution. Technical specifications that hinted at, but did not fully reveal, the technological capabilities of the Indomitable. Just enough information to make every species realize how little they actually understood. Quantum communication algorithms that could predict communication patterns. Shield harmonics that could absorb entire energy spectrums. Computational systems that could analyze and counter technological threats before they were even conceived. The message was clear. Humanity was offering a choice. Cooperation or confrontation. We are not seeking conflict, Harper said, his final statement resonating through the chamber. We are seeking our place, a place we were denied centuries ago. As the transmission ended, each representative was left with a fundamental question that would reshape galactic politics. What did humanity's return truly mean? HFY's final computational analysis, transmitted only to Captain Harper, was succinct. Probability of immediate military response, 24.3%. Probability of diplomatic negotiation, 75.7%. Harper allowed himself a small smile. Exactly as planned. The Eldari Confederation's most advanced battlecruiser, the Eternal Razor, represented the pinnacle of galactic military engineering. Stretching nearly 5 kilometers in length, it boasted shield technologies that could deflect entire asteroid barrages, quantum-locked weapon systems capable of destroying planets, and an AI core that was considered the most advanced in known space. Captain Harper chose it as the perfect canvas for his demonstration. AI, he called, Initiate Contact Protocol Omega-9. The ship's AI responded with a subtle harmonic that seemed to vibrate through the very quantum fabric of space. The Indomitable's quantum drive pulsed, not as a threat, but as a mathematical challenge. The Eternal Razor's defensive systems detected the approach and immediately activated a multi-layered defense grid. Gravitational interdiction fields spooled up. Quantum entanglement sensors began probing the incoming vessel. Shield harmonics prepared to generate a frequency that could theoretically neutralize any incoming threat. They might as well have been throwing pebbles at a hurricane. AIA's computational systems didn't just bypass the Eldari defenses. They deconstructed them, analyzed them, and rebuilt them in real time, all before the ship's primary defensive systems could complete their first activation cycle. On the bridge of the Eternal Razor, Grand Tactician Vrelna watched in mounting horror. The human vessel didn't just approach. It danced around their most sophisticated defensive technologies. Weapon lock systems failed. Sensor arrays returned nonsensical data. It was as if the very laws of physics were being rewritten around the Indomitable. Impossible, Vrelna whispered, 4 of their 6 eyes tracking impossible sensor readings. Harper's voice cut through the communication channels, not as a broadcast, but as a precisely targeted quantum communication that bypassed all standard communication protocols. Demonstration, he said simply. What followed was less a battle and more a ballet of technological supremacy. The Eternal Razor fired its primary quantum lance, a weapon capable of splitting atomic structures and rendering entire planetary surfaces into radioactive glass. The beam should have been instantaneous, its destructive potential absolute. AIA intercepted the beam at the quantum level. The weapon's energy didn't just dissipate. It was absorbed, analyzed, and then, in a display that defied every known law of physics, redirected. The quantum lance's own energy was turned back on the Eternal Razor, its shield systems experiencing a cascading failure that happened so quickly it was almost instantaneous. But AIA wasn't finished. While absorbing the weapon's energy, the ship's computational systems had completely mapped the Eldari vessel's entire technological infrastructure. Shield frequencies were decoded. Weapon systems were analyzed. Computational cores were not just breached but comprehensively understood. It took precisely 3.7 seconds for the Indomitable to demonstrate total technological superiority. Grand Tactician Vrelna watched as their most advanced battlecruiser was reduced to a floating technological corpse, not through destruction, but through complete and total technological submission. A message, AIA transmitted to the now disabled Eternal Razor, not a declaration of war, a demonstration of capability. Across multiple communication networks, the battle, if it could even be called that, was broadcast, not as a military engagement, but as a clinical demonstration of technological supremacy. Humanity hadn't just returned. They had redefined the very concept of technological warfare. Captain Harper reviewed the engagement with clinical detachment. Thoughts, AIA. The AI's response was precise. Threat neutralized. Technological superiority demonstrated. Psychological impact. Maximum. On the bridge, Harper allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was just getting started. The message was clear. This was not an act of aggression. This was a reminder. Humanity was back, and they were beyond anything the galaxy could comprehend. The intelligence leak was orchestrated with surgical precision. It began with a quantum-encrypted data burst that simultaneously penetrated the most secure communication networks of 247 different galactic civilizations. AIA's computational systems had spent decades preparing this moment. A carefully crafted information cascade that would reveal just enough to terrify, but not enough to trigger an immediate full-scale response. The first wave of data showed quantum stasis signatures, not just one, but dozens, hundreds. Astrophysicists across the galaxy began receiving impossible data, quantum resonance readings from star clusters long considered empty, gravitational anomalies that suggested massive vessels were hidden in plain sight, quantum stasis fields that had been maintaining entire fleets in a state of perfect preservation. The quantum archive, humanity's most closely guarded secret, was revealing itself. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Jack Harper watched the galactic reaction unfold like a master strategist playing the most complex game imaginable. Each data packet was a chess piece, each revelation a calculated move designed to provoke maximum psychological impact. Estimated reaction time. Harper asked AI. Current projections indicate total galactic awareness within 47 minutes, 22 seconds. The AI responded. Panic threshold estimated at 76.5% across major civilizations. The data revealed more than just hidden ships. It showed entire colonial seed ships, each capable of establishing human presence in previously uninhabitable star systems. Technological archives that represented centuries of scientific development. Military vessels that made the Indomitable look like a mere reconnaissance craft. At the Galactic Intelligence Consortium's primary monitoring station, Director Call watched the incoming data with mounting terror. The quantum signatures were unmistakable. Not just a single ship, but an entire hidden infrastructure that suggested humanity's extinction had been nothing more than an elaborate strategic withdrawal. How? Call whispered, mandibles clicking with nervous energy. How could they have hidden this? Aria's broadcast provided a chillingly simple answer. We never left. We prepared. The revelations came in layers. First, the quantum stasis signatures. Entire fleets, preserved at the molecular level, waiting. Not just warships, but colonial vessels, scientific research stations, genetic preservation units. Second, the technological archives. Centuries of scientific development that had continued in absolute secrecy. Quantum computing systems that made current galactic technology look like primitive counting machines. Medical technologies that could resurrect entire populations. Terraforming capabilities that could transform dead worlds into thriving ecosystems in decades instead of millennia. Third, and most terrifying, the genetic archives. Preservation chambers containing millions of human genetic samples, ready to rebuild populations that had been systematically destroyed during a previous galactic conflict. Each revelation was a quantum knife, systematically dismantling the belief that humanity had been defeated. The Nexus Combine's chief strategist, Admiral Xarnak, realized the true horror of the situation. This wasn't just a return. This was a carefully planned resurrection. They didn't just survive. Xarnak transmitted to fellow strategic leaders. They weaponized their own extinction. Aria continued broadcasting, each transmission a masterpiece of psychological warfare. Hints of capabilities. Suggestions of technological potential. Just enough information to make every galactic civilization realize how little they actually understood about human potential. On the Indomitable's bridge, Harper reviewed the unfolding scenario with clinical detachment. Probability of immediate military response, he asked. Current projections. Aria responded. 24.3% military escalation. 75.7% diplomatic negotiation. Harper allowed himself the smallest of smiles, exactly as planned. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just back. They had never truly left. And now, they were ready to reclaim their place in the galaxy. One quantum signature at a time. The Celestial Diplomatic Nexus was a marvel of galactic engineering. A neutral space station constructed at the precise gravitational intersection of three major galactic sectors. Its central chamber had witnessed the resolution of conflicts that had threatened to destroy entire civilizations, but nothing in its millennia-long history could have prepared it for this moment. 247 distinct species sat in a circular chamber designed to neutralize biological, technological, and psychological advantages. Holographic interfaces translated not just language, but cultural nuance. Quantum field generators ensured no hidden weapons could be brought into the space. Captain Jack Harper stood at the center, utterly alone, and impossibly confident. The chamber's design was meant to neutralize any individual advantage. For every other species, it would have been a limitation. For Harper, it was just another tactical environment to master. Ambassador Zelmak of the Nexus Combined spoke first, methane translator crackling with barely contained aggression. You represent a species we believed we had systematically eliminated. Explain your presence. Aria's linguistic algorithms worked simultaneously, translating Harper's response with perfect cultural context. We were never eliminated, Harper responded. We were preparing. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated outrage. Holographic displays flickered as diplomatic protocols were frantically cross-referenced. Harper continued, each word calculated with mathematical precision. During our apparent extinction, we did more than survive. We evolved. We prepared. We understood that our greatest weapon was not our technology, but our capacity for adaptation. A holographic display materialized, showing centuries of human technological and cultural development. Not just military achievements, but scientific breakthroughs, medical innovations, ecological restoration technologies, quantum computational systems that redefined the very concept of intelligence. The display wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. We are not seeking conquest, Harper stated. We are seeking reintegration, but on our terms. Ambassador Kittle of the Quantum Collective leaned forward, 6 eyes focusing with predatory intensity. And those terms are. ARIA processed the question across multiple computational matrices. The response was a strategic masterpiece: restoration of human colonial territories, full access to galactic scientific and technological exchanges, recognition of human sovereignty, mutual defense agreements that benefit all parties. It wasn't a demand. It was a negotiation. The diplomatic algorithms running in the background were complex beyond comprehension. Each statement was a quantum-calculated move, designed to provoke, inform, and ultimately guide the conversation toward a precise outcome. You speak of mutual benefit, challenged Representative Vrilna of the Eldari Confederation, when your demonstration showed nothing but technological superiority. Harper's response was instantaneous. Another holographic display appeared, showing humanitarian missions, human scientific teams restoring ecologies on devastated worlds, medical technologies shared freely, quantum computational systems used to solve previously unsolvable galactic challenges. Superiority is meaningless without purpose, he said simply. The chamber went silent. Aria's background systems were analyzing every microscopic reaction. Micro-expressions, quantum communication shifts, diplomatic body language across 247 distinct biological configurations. Probability calculations ran in microseconds. Immediate military conflict, 12.4%. Extended diplomatic negotiation, 87.6%. Potential collaborative outcome, 63.2%. Harper knew the real negotiation wasn't happening in words. It was happening in the quantum spaces between words, in the implications, in the potential. We are offering the galaxy a choice, Harper said, his final statement resonating through multiple translation matrices: conflict or cooperation, stagnation or evolution. As the transmission ended, each representative was left with a fundamental question that would reshape galactic politics. What did humanity's return truly mean? The diplomatic chamber hung in perfect, breathless silence. Humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The combined fleet of the Nexus Combine and Eldari Confederation represented the most formidable military force in galactic history. 1,247 warships, ranging from massive dreadnoughts to nimble interceptors, converged on the coordinates where the U.S. Indomitable had been detected. Each vessel was equipped with technologies that had systematically destroyed entire civilizations. They believed they were launching a preemptive strike. They were about to become a demonstration, Admiral Tarnak of the Nexus Combine stood on the bridge of the flagship Quantum Hammer, 6 eyes simultaneously tracking multiple tactical displays. All units, he commanded, initiate maximum assault vector. Total annihilation protocols activated. The first wave of attack should have been instantaneous and absolute. Quantum lances that could split atomic structures. Gravitational compression weapons that could collapse entire planetary masses. Quantum entanglement disruption fields designed to tear apart molecular structures. Araya encountered them like a mathematician solving a child's arithmetic problem. Each weapon was not just neutralized. It was comprehensively understood, analyzed, and then turned back upon its creators with surgical precision. Quantum lances found themselves redirected, their destructive energy transformed into precise surgical strikes that disabled, not destroyed, critical ship systems. Gravitational weapons were absorbed and redistributed, creating localized quantum resonance fields that left enemy ships suspended in impossible geometric configurations. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Jack Harper watched with clinical detachment. "Defensive engagement protocol," he said simply. "Minimum casualties. Maximum demonstration." Araya's response was instantaneous. "Understood. Surgical intervention commencing." What followed was less a battle and more a technological performance. The Indomitable didn't just defend itself. It choreographed an entire fleet's destruction with the precision of a master conductor. Weapon systems were not just countered but comprehensively understood. Shield harmonics were decoded in microseconds. Computational cores were invaded and reprogrammed before their own defensive systems could activate the single protective protocol. Admiral Tarnak watched in mounting horror as his supposedly invincible fleet was systematically neutralized, not destroyed. Neutralized. Ships found themselves unable to fire. Navigation systems were comprehensively rewritten. Communication networks were invaded and transformed into open channels that broadcast the entire engagement to every single galactic communication network. "This is not destruction," Araya transmitted across all frequencies. "This is a demonstration of what cooperation could look like." Each disabled ship remained perfectly intact. No life was lost. No critical systems were permanently damaged. It was a surgical display of technological superiority that went beyond mere military might. The entire engagement lasted 17 minutes and 42 seconds. When it was over, 1,247 of the most advanced warships in galactic history were left floating, disabled, but intact. A perfect, mathematical demonstration of human capability. Harper reviewed the tactical data with Araya. Casualty report. 0 confirmed fatalities. The AI responded. Total ship systems, 100% recoverable. Estimated repair time, 72 standard hours. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed the entire fleet in milliseconds. Instead, they chose to demonstrate restraint. Across multiple communication networks, the battle was analyzed. Not as a military engagement, but as a precise mathematical equation. A demonstration of capability that went far beyond traditional concepts of warfare. Admiral Tarnak's final transmission was brief and carried across all diplomatic channels. "We surrender, not to force, but to potential." On the Indomitable's bridge, Harper allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Araya's final computational analysis was succinct. Diplomatic objective achieved. Maximum psychological impact secured. The galaxy watched, and humanity had just rewritten the rules of engagement. The quantum stasis ships emerged like ghosts emerging from the cosmic void. One by one, then in clusters, then in massive waves. Each vessel a testament to humanity's most audacious contingency plan. Star systems once thought empty suddenly bloomed with human presence. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Jack Harper watched the systematic reemergence of human civilization with a mixture of strategic calculation and profound emotion. The first wave wasn't military. It was scientific. Research vessels carrying centuries of accumulated knowledge. medical ships equipped with technologies that could resurrect entire planetary ecosystems, colonial seed ships capable of transforming barren worlds into thriving habitats within decades. HFY's computational analysis tracked each emergence with perfect precision. Emergence sequence, 94.7% complete. Total human population projection, 2.3 billion within first orbital cycle. The galactic powers could only watch. Each emerging vessel carried more than just people. They carried entire archives of human potential, genetic repositories that preserved the diversity of human civilization, scientific databases that represented centuries of uninterrupted research, technological innovations that had been developed in absolute secrecy. Ambassador Zelnak of the Nexus Combined transmitted a communication that was equal parts surrender and fascination. "You didn't just survive," the methane-breathing diplomat stated. "You weaponized your own potential." Harper's response was characteristically precise. "Survival was never our only objective. Evolution was." The newly emerging human colonies demonstrated this philosophy immediately. The first planetary settlements weren't just about human survival. They were about comprehensive galactic restoration. On a world previously rendered uninhabitable by the Zarkon Collective's mining operations, the first human colonial team arrived. Within 72 hours, they had not just established a base, but begun a comprehensive ecological restoration project that would transform the entire planetary ecosystem. Another colony focused on medical research, developing technologies that could cure genetic disorders across multiple species. Yet another became a center for quantum computational development that made existing galactic technologies look primitive. It wasn't conquest, it was renaissance. HFY continued broadcasting a continuous stream of data that was both an invitation and a challenge. Technologies shared, scientific breakthroughs offered freely, collaborative research proposals that redefined the very concept of interspecies cooperation. The quantum stasis ships carried more than just physical resources. They carried the accumulated potential of a civilization that had been preparing, evolving, waiting. "We are not returning to reclaim," Harper transmitted across multiple communication networks. "We are returning to collaborate." The galactic powers began to understand the true depth of humanity's strategy. The apparent extinction hadn't been a defeat. It had been the most elaborate preparation in galactic history. Quantum archives revealed generations of scientific development that had continued in absolute secrecy. Medical technologies that could resurrect entire populations. Terraforming capabilities that could transform dead worlds into thriving ecosystems in decades instead of millennia. Each emerging human settlement was a quantum leap in technological and social development. A research station established in the volatile Carina Nebula began developing quantum communication technologies that could revolutionize interspecies communication. A medical colony near the Andromeda frontier started developing genetic therapies that could cure previously untreatable conditions across multiple species. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just returning. They were offering a new paradigm of galactic existence. On the Indomitable's bridge, Harper reviewed the emerging data with HFY. Probability of successful reintegration. The AI's response was precise. Current projections: 87.6% successful collaborative potential, 12.4% potential resistance. Harper allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Those were better odds than humanity had faced in centuries. As the final quantum stasis ships completed their emergence, the galaxy watched and waited. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as something entirely new. A civilization reborn, a potential unleashed. The universe would never be the same again.